guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make these custom frames with pressed flowers. I just thought of this idea. I wanted to do flowers, like real flowers in frames, but I wanted it to be clear, like see-through, like there's just flowers hanging on the wall. So I came up with this DIY. I thought it was really cool, and I'm kind of excited to show you guys how to do it. So basically you're going to need a frame. I just went to the thrift store and got some vintage old frames, which is really cool and affordable. You're going to need plexiglass, or you can get real glass. It was just easier to work with plexiglass because it won't break. You're going to need books, flowers, parchment paper, Windex. I'll list everything below. It's a few things that you need, but it's easy. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through all the steps of how to do this DIY. The first thing you're going to do is find your flowers, whatever flowers you want to use, and you're going to snip them at the bottom like that. Then you're going to take your parchment paper. So with the parchment paper, it really helps to dry out the flowers, and you want to make sure all the water is out of the flowers. That's the biggest part of pressing flowers, because if you end up putting them somewhere in between the frames, bacteria can grow if there's water. So you just want to make sure they're really dried out. I'm gonna press them into books. I looked up all different ways to press flowers. There are a bunch. But I found the old-fashioned way, pressing them in books, is the best way. It does take 2 weeks, so this is not like an overnight DIY, but it's much better and the flowers look much better. Another thing you can do is to put them in the parchment paper and to iron them, but that kind of ruins the flowers, and it takes a lot of times ironing over the flowers until you get all the water out. And another thing is microwaving it. Neither one of those really worked for me that well. The one that worked the best was the books, so I would just recommend just going with the books, taking your time. It will take 2 weeks, but it's totally worth it. So you just take your parchment paper, put the flower downward. That way you make sure you don't bend any petals, and then you're gonna fold the paper over. Then you're gonna take your book. I recommend the heaviest book you can find. I didn't have any crazy heavy books, but just working with what I got. And you literally just place it in the book, close it, and press down. So you just want to put weight on the book, so you can put other books on top. You can really stack it up high. Another thing you can do is you can use cement, you can use bricks, anything super heavy to get the book to lie flat as possible. And then you're going to just set these aside, however many you want to do, however many flowers. You can also do leaves, and you're going to set it aside, and you're going to wait about 2 weeks. So after a few days, I would check on the progress of it. Some flowers dry faster than others, so it might not be 2 weeks exactly, but just keep checking in. And around the 2 week mark, you should be good and ready to start working with the flowers. So it's been 2 weeks already, that fast. Just kidding. I already pressed these flowers weeks ago, but I want to show you what they look like. They are nice and dry, and they look really cool. There's no water in them, and they're exactly how they're supposed to look. So this is a dry flower, and this is a not dry flower. A wet flower? I don't know. But yeah, this is the difference. It looks like paper. It's really cool how when you press the flowers, it kind of just flattens it, and I don't know, it makes it look a little fake, but it's cool. All right, so next we're going to place the flowers in the frame. This part is the creative part. You can do any design that you want, and you can really have fun with it. So for this, you're going to need a frame. Any frame works, any size, doesn't matter. I'm using an 8x10, and you're going to take out the back, and you're going to need like a piece of glass, plexiglass. You can also use a piece of thick cut vinyl. I actually did one with that and that worked just as fine. But I think the plexiglass is like, it's a little bit harder in the back, like, so I think it is like the better option, but the vinyl definitely works and is actually a cheaper option. Okay, so honestly, baby's breath was my favorite thing to press, and you can actually iron baby's breath really easily. I didn't have any problems using the iron with the baby's breath, but it just presses really like perfectly. I love how it looks. So I have my baby's breath. I'm gonna use these flowers, these yellow ones. I don't know the names of flowers, so don't ask me what they're called. And I'm gonna take my Windex, and the first thing you're going to do is just spray the frame to make sure it's clear, because once you put the flowers in, like, you can't go back and clean it. So just make sure it's clean before you put the flowers on it. So you actually want to take this glass out, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna glue it onto the frame so that it doesn't go anywhere. So Windex both sides and then put it back in. I'm gonna take my E6000 glue and I'm just gonna glue around the edge of the frame, the inside edge. So you're going to place it onto the glue. And then you're just gonna press down. Cool. Just wanna make sure it's not gonna go anywhere. Then you're gonna place the flowers very carefully, because they are delicate, they can break, in whatever pattern you want. So whatever you do, it's gonna be mirrored, like when you flip it over. So like this is on the right, but when you flip it up, it's gonna be on the left. So just be mindful when you're designing your little creation. I'm gonna just do that. Add a little baby's breath in the corners. Actually, separate it. All right, so I think that's the design that I want. And then what I'm gonna do is add another layer of glue around the edge, and then I'm gonna add my plexiglass on top. Now that your glue's down, you're going to just Windex your plexiglass where you put it down. And you do the same thing if you're using vinyl or anything. You just want to make sure it's clean so that the frame looks see-through, or the backing looks see-through. Then you're just going to carefully place it down. Perfect. So the key to this is to make sure it's really on there solid, so that the glue really sticks to it. E6000 works best when it's really tight on the surface of whatever you're gluing it onto. So what I'm gonna do to make sure that it stays on nice and tight is I'm gonna take the back of the frame. I'm gonna keep this, make sure you keep the back of the frame. The little, I don't know what these are called, the things that hold the back of the frame together. I'm going to use those to put pressure on the back. Another thing you can also do to put pressure on the back is you can stack books on top, bricks, if you have like cement blocks, whatever, just anything to put pressure on it. You can use clamps, just to make sure it's really nice and tight on there. And I would let it dry for 1 day before taking the backing off. So it's gonna look like this for now. So you have the back on it, but obviously we're gonna take this off once it dries. So I'm gonna show you an example of what it looks like when it's dry and ready to go. So it just looks clear, you can see through it. when you hang it up on your wall, it's gonna look like flowers are just like hanging, like floating in a frame. I'll show you another example, like another design. So you can really have fun with it, play around with it, do different designs. You can use leaves, like I use leaves on this one. And you dry the leaves the same way you would dry flowers. And then I want to show you an example of one I did using the vinyl. So this has a vinyl backing and not the plexiglass. So pretty much looks the same. It's actually much cheaper. So like I said, it's a really good alternative. So that's pretty much it when you are creating these frames. I really love how they came out. I feel like they are super fun and creative, and you can really have fun with them and kind of add a little bit of like flowers and life to your house without like having to have real flowers and have to water them and all that stuff, you know. But yeah, that is the DIY for today. Hope you guys like it. If you do, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you try it, be sure to use the hashtag MissAnoshaDIY so I can see them and share it. All right, I'll see you guys next time.